Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. We are back again with another PWCC weekly review where I go through the top 100 soccer items auctioned off this week on the PWCC/Now Fanatics website. As always, if you do enjoy these, make sure to leave a like. Helps me out the channel. Would appreciate it greatly. With that said, though, let's go ahead and head on over there. So this week starting at 132, sort of a higher benchmark than late. In terms of the first row, though, the standout, at least to me, is the blue refractor Cristiano Ronaldo from 2018 Topps Chrome and a PSA 10. Obviously, Juve kit, so I know that's probably less desirable, but at the same time, he was there so little that it's kind of cool to me, at least in some respect. Of course, not the preferred kit by any means. Probably the least preferred, but I mean, it's a big club. Like, you know, they haven't been as good as of late, but historically, it's kind of cool, I think. But maybe that's a hot take. I know it's not, you know, what he's remembered for and all that. But 64 sticker Verlog Pele in a 3 goes for 138. Don't know a whole lot about this, but we do have a 2004 Monday Chromo Top Liga Messi, which notably seemed a little cheap, at least comparatively to some of the other low/med grades that we've seen lately. They've actually gotten like really good prices to my surprise. But this one of, if not the least desirable of the Messi rookies, especially since it's not the foil. So for me, you know, sort of makes sense at the same time. But if you go on eBay and look at like lowest priced 2004 Messis, I don't think you'll find one anywhere near that. So I think that that's a deal comparatively, but it's a price that does make sense. This Matthias, wanted to look that up, 1980. It is not a rookie, but it's one I haven't really seen too much of. And when we go back and look at the comps, yeah, there hasn't been a sticker to sell in basically the entire year. So this one gets 144, which is up on the last 5 at 110. And even the 6 before that sold for basically 80. It did feel like a sticker that I saw a lot of last year. And yeah, now, of course, basically none. So pretty interesting to see that, and definitely up a good bit. PSA 4 R9 from 1994-95. Had to make sure, but yeah, it is 94-95. That goes for 150. 1986 PSA 8 Super Sport Diego Maradona. The pop 1 of 4-2 higher goes for 150. In this row, got a PSA 10 Cristiano Ronaldo Mega Cracks from his, I believe, 3rd year at Real Madrid. That goes for 156. A Cruyff in a 2 goes for 156 for his Vanderhoot rookie. And yeah, respectable price. Looks pretty good by the front, at least from what we can see here. So that's around where they go. So nothing crazy going on there. Finest Lionel Messi out of 50. PSA 10 goes for 162. Gets a decent price at 162, but PSA 10 sort of helps that out. Pop 1 of 10 also. So good to see those graded at least in decent quantity. We have a 2002 Didier Drogba PSA 9 sticker rookie. I took a peek at this since we haven't seen one of these go in a while, at least on the Fanatics Weekly. I guess we saw one almost a few months ago at this point, but this one went for 162, this one 168, so a bit higher, also over the last best offer on eBay by a good bit. So a little bit of progress made, but that one's fallen pretty heavily, I would say, since even last year in 2023, it was still pretty decently priced, at least comparatively to some others. Ronaldinho, this 2000 Stadion sells, I believe, again, it's a pop 1 of 2, but we saw one of them go recently, so I'm just imagining it's a rerun. I could be wrong on that. If you want to investigate further, feel free. But I mean, I like the picture. The release isn't anything, at least of note to me, but the picture is somewhat meaningful. 174 on this Christian Pulisic Phenom from 2022 Prism World Cup. Not a crazy price, I guess, in the sense of like a gold Prism World Cup insert for 174, but at the same time, it's not a card that stands out to me. It is PSA 10 though, so I guess if you give it a premium, that means the raw would be like $60, which for again a gold Prism Pulisic, obviously I'm a bit biased, but it doesn't seem crazy in the realm of Pulisic. There'll be a few others later, so if you hate Pulisic, get excited. Above that, there actually is this Color Blast. I guess personally, I would prefer that. I'm not even like a huge Color Blast guy or anything like that, but I do think that the Obsidian Color Blast is kind of a cool, unique card that stands out to me. This one, even though it's gold, doesn't really. So I would prefer this, but that's just me. 2020 David Beckham sticker auto. Not a whole lot to say there. We do have the 38 Koenig here that I did take a stab at. I was the underbidder. I do like the Koenig set in general. I love the aesthetics of it. It's got a lot of key players for the time since it has stars throughout the world and also Germany. And the backs sort of make for a fun, interesting chase. And so the 08 back is one of the rarer. And then you even have breakdowns of different backs within those backs if you really want to get crazy. But nonetheless, this is pop 1 of 2. There are no others graded of the 08 back, just 2 PSA 3s. So to me, it was somewhat notable. I didn't really actually even look at the card too much. I hate to admit it, but I mean, yeah, the front's a little rough, which you come to expect. I'm guessing the back would be pretty good, which it is for the most part. So obviously, I'm pretty aware of the comps. So I guess in terms of where this sold comparatively to others, it really isn't that low. Like a lot of the Koenigs have fallen off since 2022, 2023, like pretty heavily. Not exactly sure why, but this Koenig, it feels like in particular, hasn't dropped as much as some of the other ones. Like this is a Koenig that probably during the boom, at least from comps I could find, was going for like 500-600 maybe. And a lot of Koenigs have dropped like 70, 80, even 90% sometimes. And this one's, maybe closer to 50, 60, which is still bad, don't get me wrong, but in comparison, it's held up a bit better, so I was, I guess, a little less enticed, but probably going to be disappointed at some point that I didn't grab that, but it is what it is. Garnacho out of 49, purple rookie here. PSA 10 goes for 186. This row, I mean, I guess this doesn't stand out particularly as a card, but it is a Champions League winning season, Cristiano Ronaldo out of 25. And for me, this row would be a pretty easy choice in terms of what I'm picking. I did check the pop also, I guess, in terms of print run on this Lamine Yamal, and there was like almost 9,000 printed, which, it's no Yusufa Makuku at like 50K or whatever that was, but 9,000 of these is still a lot, man. 186 in a PSA 10, and the thing is, a lot of these get 10s. I mean, I know there's some centering issues and whatnot, but a lot of them get 10s, so in theory, there could be thousands of 10s, and this is just a secondary card, at least in my eye, in terms of his rookies. So yeah, I would take the Ronaldo out of 25 all day. I know it's Topps paper. People don't like the Topps paper, but yeah, I mean, out of 25 Cristiano Ronaldo from the Champions League winning season, I take that. I also felt like, this Monday Chromo kind of cheap. Comparatively to the other that we saw earlier, obviously is up a good bit. This at 144, this at basically, 190. So a good premium on the card, but I think it's, warranted. I think this card looks a lot better than the top Liga. And 192, you don't see a lot of these, I guess, in mid-grade sell for some reason or another, but felt like an okay price. And again, on eBay, you wouldn't really be able to find one of those at that price. Another PSA 10, we've seen a lot of these like 2010 stickers going. I haven't really checked if it's like all the same seller or if they're getting resold, or they're probably just selling, but someone has a decent bit of them because you can get your hands on it, but getting 10s is obviously going to be the difficult part. But 192 on that one. Billy Meredith from 1912, pop 1 of 2 higher, goes for 192. Another sticker Messi there. We have a Puskás SGC 1 that went for 204. I guess this was one that I had watched, but I got a bit sort of distracted with other things during this auction, and I guess that feels like a good price comparatively to what we saw like the Kubala and the Suarez go for last week. I think those were like 50 and 150 maybe, so like 100 on average, and this going for 2 doesn't seem bad at all to me. Garnacho out of 15 goes for 216. Next to it, we have the Vinny treble base that went for 216. Initially, I thought that this was a Bergman rookie for Beckenbauer, but it is a second year. So the second year has the same exact pictures as the first, but you can actually tell the difference because the backs are different. But just, some sort of warning to be had in terms of if you are trying to buy one of these, don't get mistaken. And I'm not sure if this was a mistake. I mean, it feels kind of high for second year, I would say. I feel like you could probably get a 2 of the rookie for about this price, maybe even a 3. I'd probably not a 3, but probably a 2. And so for me, this is pretty close, which I was surprised by. Another David Beckham sticker there. The post-playing career, I know they're autos, but it's so tough seeing them up here. Although, to be fair, I don't think these cards are standouts by any means. They have some relevancy. But above that, you got the battle of the greats between Maradona, Messi, and Lamine Yamal. So the PSA 10 Lamine Yamals are down a good bit since the booming times, but of course that was going to be the case. That's at 234. PSA 5 of 86 sticker for Maradona goes for 228, which is, still a decent price for a 5. Obviously, World Cup stickers fairly plentiful. So grading rarity is going to be a thing here, but a decent entry price. Beyond that, we have a first-year finest out of 50 for Messi at Inter Miami. Cristiano Ronaldo gets a little bit higher of a price than the Vinny, although I guess it's a grade higher, so, grade adjusted, probably not, but $240 there. We also have a BGS 7.5. I thought this was probably the lowest of all of the Messis in regard to, price per grade. $252 there on a 7.5. Unsure if that's Campio. It says Campio. We'll just take the title listing at its word. A 54 Deportivas here of Kubala. So I looked at this one on Toto, and I could only find a couple comps, and one was pre-boom for like $20, and then one was in 2020 for like $100. So for a PSA 3, pop 1 of 1, none higher, this feels like a pretty good price. You're getting it nearly 2020 pricing, maybe even a little lower, depending on how, you grade all those and comp all those and whatever. But $252 didn't feel terrible, and a pretty nice looking Kubala as well. PSA 10 of this out of 50 Topps Chrome 2019 Ronaldo goes for $276. We have a new era Kylian Mbappe at $276 as well, and a PSA 6 here for the Monday Chromo at $276 also. Above that, we have a 1930 Angola Nasasi, PSA 5 that goes for $276. Presumably Angola release, and I've seen some of those in the vintage Discord from time to time, so I know that those aren't the most common. Beyond that, we have a gold out of 10 Heung-min Son Prism Panini Premier League release that goes for $288. We've seen a lot of these. David Beckham sell another 9 here, goes for $300, which again is a pretty decent price. I mentioned before, but I've seen some sealed wax of this. I'm guessing that's sort of what happened here, is people just opening up stuff and sending it in for grading, selling it off. This out of 50 wedges Cristiano Ronaldo looks really good. At least the picture sort of caught my eye initially. Pretty stunning image, I would say. I'm unsure what the wedges look like, but that's the pattern at least. Seemingly a pretty decent price if we can go ahead and find it here. So yeah, this one goes for $312. And what I thought was interesting was that a PSA 10 also sold in this auction and sold for only $100 more. So not a lot of a premium there in terms of grading, but beyond that, there are some like vertical versions that don't really get a whole lot of love. This one out of 50 also went for like $20, but if we go back, there was a comp that I was able to find here for a raw that did $175 in 2022. So seemingly up a little bit on this card from sort of the heights of 2022, which is impressive. Beyond that, Christian Pulisic gold goes for $336. I did have this watched. I wasn't, all too interested, but at the same time, I really do like this picture, at least from a USMNT collector perspective. Pulisic's move to Chelsea was pretty important in terms of stepping us up at least a little bit of a level, and the uniqueness of the picture, it's a little weird since it's not the typical playing sort of picture that you'll get, but I do like it. At least personally, $336 on that feels pretty good to me, at least, again, comparatively to some of the other Pulisics we saw earlier. I take this every single day of the week compared to those. Even if you bundled those up earlier, I'd still take this. Rodrigo goes for $348. Kaboom PSA 10. We have a Zidane. Man, the post-playing career, I probably just won't even talk about it. I doubt I'll ever look this stuff up, other than just sort of wondering how it's doing. I really have no interest in it, to be honest, but they still get decent prices. I mean, $400 for a post-playing career card that can just be created on demand continuously going into the future. Pretty impressive, at least compared to these two. I mean, in this row, is anyone taking the Zidane? I'd think you're crazy if you said you did, but that's just me. Next we have a 2018 Messi Blue out of 199 World Cup Prism, and then we have a 2016 out of 99 White Select Field Level. So I'd be interested what you guys think between these two. Personally, for me, it's actually, it's kind of tough, I guess. Personally, I like Field Level a lot. I even like the vertical Field Level from 2016 first year, but even I, as a Field Level enjoyer, probably would pick the 2018 Prism out of 199, just because I think that the Blue Prism is sort of a run that seems semi, or at least moderately important in terms of Messi, especially now with the 2022 World Cup win. You could have the 2022, 2018, 2014. People are going to love the 2014. People are going to love the 2022. The 2018 sort of the odd man out, but you still need it in theory. Now, I did look up the price on this, and I was sort of surprised, not in terms of the more recent pricing. The last one was $400 on a fixed price, so $432 on an auction's a good result. Before that, $625, $1,000, kind of high. I'm not sure, but these were selling in terms of last year, early last year, middle of last year for $600 and $500 as well. So they seemingly bumped a little bit towards the end of last year, early this year, and have come back down a bit. But the one thing I did find when I looked back was a $16 sale in 2018. So while they might be down a little bit, they are still quite up from pre-boom. So not to fear there. And then right above it, we have another Prism that I'm fairly interested in here, the 2016 Ronaldo Red out of 149 and PSA 9. These actually, I mean, hard to find sales of them, at least as of late. A PSA 10 did sell last year for $690, so at least comparatively, this seems like it was kind of a steal. $432 for a 9 or $690 for a 10. I'd rather get the 10. Raw went for $228, so this is kind of a high sale compared to the Raw, but with a Raw, obviously you don't know what you're getting. And a PSA 9 in 2022 did $540, so down a little bit from the $540 sale in 2022, but compared to other Cristiano Ronaldo stuff, nothing too crazy there. So pretty cool card in my opinion. I like the 2016. I think it's one of the better design prisms, but it is Euro, so people don't really get involved as much. The Xavi PSA 8 from the 98 football here goes for $432. Relatively low. I think there was a 7 last week that did like 300, so compared to that, this is a little light, but not crazy. Pop one of 12.6 higher. Personally, my favorite Xavi, but he does have different options, which sort of blurs the picture a bit, but I think the set, even the non-Xavi rookie, like the R9, I think Zidane's in here as well. They just look so good. So feels like a good price there, especially if you compare backwards to sort of the boom of pre-modern. Then we have a Vinny out of 10 red that went for $444. We have the out of 50 PSA 10 that went for $444 as well, and a PSA 8. This was a little light. Typically they're around 500, so a little on the low end, but still within the range. And a Heung-min Son out of 99. Beyond that, this Ruud Gullit, I actually didn't realize how long it had been since we'd seen one of these go. This 79-80 Ruud Gullit and a PSA 3 goes for $468. And when we compare backwards, last sale was last year on a PSA Authentic that sold for nearly $200. So compared to the Authentic, I think that's a pretty good price. When we compare backwards, I guess another PSA 3 sold. I'm wondering if this is the same copy now. So 63.3. Okay, yeah, that's the same. So half price on the last sale, which was 2022, not too shabby, although also feels kind of fair. I mean, some of this type of stuff has fallen a bit. I'm surprised this one falls as much as it did, given that basically none have sold. A lot of these types of items where you have one sale a year tend to do pretty good, but this one seemingly not so much, so good price there. Beyond that, this Keegan is at $468, so this is down a good bit. They used to sit at 1,000 pretty comfortably, or at least 1,000 to 750 in that range, and this one is at $468, so those have come down a bit, but he also has a few different ones. We have a second or third year Romario here that goes for $492 in a PSA 8. This Puskás goes for $504 in super high grade. The back has a pretty decent stain on it, but other than that, it is pretty marvelous. So last 6 sold for $666, a PSA 6. That's a lot of 6s. This one went just in June for a little bit higher, but it's also PSA, so, bake that into it however you may. Another 6 before that, last year, sold for $504, and then we have a 6 back in 2019 that sold for $118. So still a pretty good price back here. I would say, pre-boom, 118 is a decent number in soccer, but still up 4 or 5x since then. So no mega sale in here. I'm sure I could find some comps where during the boom it was higher than it is now, but that's a respectable chart to look at. PSA 8 Zico Saravan goes for $516. We then have a Leaf card with Messi in an Argentina kit, and then you have Lewandowski in Barca and Benzema with Madrid. A collector's dream, surely. 1 of 1 goes for $528. Gold Heung-min Son World Cup goes for $540. Interesting to compare that to the Premier League Prism, which went for about half. This Di Stefano goes for $552, so a nice premium over the Puskás we saw earlier. Phil Foden Kaboom goes for $600, and a PSA 10, this Erling Haaland in-person auto, goes for $630 as well. Funnily, just sort of comparing the Lamine Yamal in-person auto on his Mega Cracks went for nearly this same price, and it's interesting. Would you rather have the Lamine Yamal Mega Crack signed or 2019 Topps Chrome Erling Haaland? I'd probably take the Haaland, even though usually his initials are like really bad and look terrible. This one actually, I mean, they still look terrible, don't get me wrong, but like it's pretty fluid compared to a lot of his other ones where it looks like he has no control of his hand. Probably not the best color in terms of auto. Probably would prefer it to be white or something like that, but you do what you got to do. 630 feels like a good number. We have a PSA 10 here for Cristiano Ronaldo 2018 gold. This one goes for $630. Want to take a peek at that, and we do have a couple sales in the past. One went for $795, so a good bit higher in terms of the comp. That was earlier this year. and last year 510. So right between those two sales, nothing too crazy there. We have a 95 Monday Chromo R9 in a PSA 8 that goes for $690. Pop 1 of 4, none higher. Pretty nice looking Ronaldo, at least to my estimation. There's a few different sort of backs, at least from what I remember in terms of these. Bagioli Pele PSA 2 MK goes for $750. Pretty good price. I can't remember what happened here, but this one goes for $750. The last one to sell was a PSA 5 in May that sold for $1,200 something. We actually do have a comp on the same exact sticker from 2021 where it sold for $750 basically on the dot, and 3 years later does the same price. So, not a great result, but from buying in 2021 to selling now and being able to get the same in terms of sports cards in general, that's a pretty good result. So Pele doing okay there. A pretty nice looking Pele as well, I would say, comparatively to some others. It only sells like 2 times a year maybe. This crack PSA 3 Maradona goes for $780, which I looked at some sales, and compared to the last, it was like really good, but the last 3 looked bad. So, take it for what it is. Looking at this 78, I mean, obviously the centering is the big issue here. The corners aren't the greatest either, but the registration color's pretty good, I would say, compared to a lot of other copies. So while the centering is horrible, I think it's an okay 3. And $780 there is an okay price. Again, better than the last one, but I think a little bit down from the one before that, so, sort of in the middle. We have a 99 Ronaldinho that goes for $840, an authentic with an auto in a 10 grade. The back is totally ripped up as this is removed, but I feel like a pretty good price. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why these are enjoyed, and personally, I enjoy in-person autos, but I try to find them with some sort of added significance if it's like older players that aren't signing anymore, or maybe one that had sort of an in-career signature or like an early auto. I feel like those are generally pretty cool. Ronaldinho signing a removed sticker, I feel a little less good about. I guess if you're a collector, you do you, and it is a cool one to add. But I do feel like this is something, Ronaldinho signs a ton of stuff. From what we can tell, people are bringing him stuff, he's signing a lot of stuff. So if that's going to be the case, people are going to remove these, have them sign them, and if it's at $840, it seems like there's enough room to continue to do that. Above that, we have a 57 Savori up here that is a pop of 1 of 1 2 higher that goes for $870. Next to that, we have a 2002 Monday Chromo PSA 10 of NES that goes for $960. This was one that got reran. It had a really high sale before. There will be, I think, another example of this as well, where the last sale was $1,800 and the one before that was $1,100, which was a pretty significant bump. But it hadn't sold for almost a year, so at the same time you could sort of believe it, but also seeing it rerun is also very believable as well. Same exact cert, and this one goes for half. So, just be wary out there. I would say Fanatics generally is much better than, say, like eBay in terms, even when there was PWCC, they've been a lot better in regard to shilling than many other sites, but they still have their faults. So if you're going double comps on something and wondering why you're getting bid up, there's no certainty that it might not be someone shilling you. Seems more prominent on some of these bigger items like a Monday Chromo PSA 10. To me, this doesn't seem like a crazy price. I don't know if I looked at the sales comp, so I did, yeah. In terms of prior sales, the all-time high was like 4,000, 3,000, something like that. Yeah, 4,000 on a fixed price, but the one before that was 1,700, so, and that was 2 weeks before, so grain of salt. But, yeah, in terms of pre-boom, this was actually 110, and even in March of 2020, it was 186, which is a pretty good price for March of 2020. So, to me, 900's low compared to where we've been, and maybe it goes lower, but I feel like this is at least somewhat approachable. Like, if this was $500, I feel like that'd be an easy buy. Just when you, obviously you don't want to compare to Messi, but look at other Monday Chromos. It's hard to get a 10, and Iniesta being one of the best players of this generation, top whatever all time. But $960 on that one feels like an okay price, I would say. We have a 58 Pele and a PSA 3, pop 1 of 310 higher that goes for $960. This is a pretty good price compared to what I see a lot of the other Bremers go for. I'm interested if anyone has any intel on why exactly that would be, because at least photographically this doesn't stand out to me more than any other one, but $960 is a pretty good price for a 3 compared to many of the others that we see. $990 on this PSA 9, so this gets about the appropriate price. Typically, I imagine these are about $1,000. The PSA 8s are about $500, so the PSA 8 was a little low. This 9's basically right on the dot. We have an equalizers that goes for 1,000. I'd seen a couple of these go in alt auctions recently, and they did pretty good numbers, so 1,000 here is pretty respectable as well. We have an out of 25 of the cracked ice version of this Black Friday that we've been seeing. This PSA 10 goes for 1,020. This PSA 9 goes a little bit higher at 1,020. Personally, I like the $30 extra for a better looking Messi, at least to my eye. Although I do like the look of the white Messi. Problem is it just grades so well. Depends what you're looking for, but I do think the team set looks pretty good across the board. I think, the blue's the best looking. The green still looks pretty good. Even the white, I like the looks of it. The fundamentals aren't as great, but can't win them all. We have a 2021 sticker auto of Messi from the PSG set. This goes for 1,050. You also have a Florian Wirtz that comes in at 1,050 as well for a PSA 910 of his rookie auto out of 50. 1,050 as well in this PSA 6 Diego Maradona 79 Calciatore. I didn't look this up. Maybe I should have. It was a PWCC top 15% eye appeal, so that's usually not a fair one to look up since it's got a little added juice to it, but it feels like a pretty good price at 1,050. This white 2017 Kylian Mbappe out of 99 goes for 1,100. Want to take a look at that just because, again, I do like the field level, and I do think the 2017 Mbappes look really good. So when we look at this one sells for 1,100. Last sale was 14-ish hundred, so a good bit down from the last sale, but then there was a sale in January of last year for around 900. So depending where you want to go, it might be up, might be down, but feels like a generally fair price back in the day. At one point, this was fairly cheap. I think I took out the PSA 9 and just wanted to see what it sold for pre-boom. And I guess the first one I ever saw was 100. Then they were kind of up to 200 and a BGS 95, and then they settled a bit at like $60 in 2019. And a good bit higher than that now at 1,100. We have a Bernabé Ferreira here in a 2.5 from 33 Cigarillo's record. Took a peek at this just to see if there were any comps, and there actually was, but it was only one comp, and it was just a couple months ago. So this one goes for 1,100. The last one was a PSA 1 that went for 930. Just by the grading alone, you would say that the 2.5 was the steal of the bunch. When there's basically no comps going into the first sale, you're probably going to be a bit high. And if another one does come up 2 to 3 months later, it's probably going to sell a bit low. It's just sort of the way it works. But if one didn't come up for a while, then, maybe it goes the other way. So seems a bit unlucky, but, maybe lucky if you are the buyer as well. These were graded, I think, pretty close. Yeah, 8509, and this one was 8509 as well. So yeah, as a seller, you probably sell the lower graded one, hoping it gets a good price, and then maybe you get the multiple on it for a higher grade, but it didn't seem to work out in this scenario. Still decent prices generally. PSA 10 2004 CR7. I was kind of surprised to see this just because, pop 1 to 6, you don't see these all too often. Gets a pretty good number at 1,200. We have a 62 at a Corpa Pele and a PSA 2 that goes for 1,380. Pop 1 to 4, just 2 higher. PSA 4 71 Bis Messi at 1,500. Beyond that, these tie-days, pretty good numbers. I was watching these during the week, and they were not this high, but the final day they definitely steamed. Fairly close in terms of price. The Messi getting a 10-15% premium, going for 1,560 and 1,770. Both PSA 10s as well, which is definitely going to help their case, but those were pretty good prices, I would say. PSA 378 Estampas. This goes for 1,770. I did look at comps just because I was sort of interested already, and this was an okay sale. It went for the same price as the last PSA 4, so pretty high, but this looked a lot better than the last PSA 4. A 2 recently went for around 1,000, so the price makes sense, and I think it was probably a good buy, especially considering the look of this 3. It does feel like it's a little wonky in terms of centering. Like this starts kind of smaller up here and gets bigger down here, and this is pretty consistent, I would say, but the cuts are never going to be great. The back looks pretty good. Also has an eye appeal sticker, top 15%, and I think it's deserving of that because honestly, like all of these Estampas, at least 80-ish% just look really bad by default. So yeah, I think that was a good one. Also didn't have the eye appeal sticker in the listing, which is maybe a shrewd find by someone, but 1770 there, not too shabby. Quite interesting in terms of the bunch. So we have a 1968 Palarex PSA 2 Johan Cruyff. I'm pretty sure this is a decent sale comparatively to past sales. I think before a 1 was like maybe 1,200, a 2 was like 1,600 or something like that. Like they were fairly close. This one gets a decent premium. Back also pretty legible. Definitely some wear, but it's a 2. What are you gonna do? When we look beyond that, though, the other ones in the row, I think the Cruyff's the clear winner. This Saka 2020, it says rookie. I'm pretty sure this is like second year rookie where Immaculate's like, they have that for Gio Reyna too, where in 2020 they say it's his rookie when it's not really his rookie. This is out of 50 PSA 10, 2300. Feels like a super strong price. I follow different Saka collectors, and generally speaking, this seems like a very, very high price in the space, especially one for an out of 50. I know it's PSA 10, but even that's a pop 1 of 7, so this just feels super, super strong to me. Didn't look up comps, but I would assume it was pretty good, because I also saw other people like trying to list their Immaculate Sakas now after this sale. So usually when people are listing their stuff after a sale, that means it was pretty good, and seems to be the case. Also thought this was really good. The thing is with Ronaldo, he doesn't sign as much. Like Ronaldinho signs a ton, so him at 1,000 sort of seemed high. This seems even higher, 3,000 here, and a PSA 3 of the sticker isn't incredibly hard to get. Now a PSA 10 auto also obviously helping a lot, but 3,000 on that is just super strong to me. I just always wonder with this type of stuff, obviously more can be made, or more can be signed, and at $3,000 I think more will be signed is typically the way I sort of think about it, right? If this went cheap, like if this went for like $400, it's like, well, all right, I don't think people are going to be doing too much of this. I mean, even at maybe like $600-700, I don't know, but 3,000, that seems like free money if that keeps on keeping on. So super strong price there. This PSA 10, so initially I was like, man, this is a low price. We got into the top 6 right here, but this messy PSA 10 went for 3,100, and these typically, at least as of late, have been around 4, and some even go as high as 5. But PSA, and this is even more recently graded, I mean, I wish they had subgrades so they could be exposed, right? But like, you don't even need subgrades to expose this one. A PSA 10, look how far to the right this badge is. Typically, it's relatively even between the top of the badge and the top of the card, and the left of the badge and the left of the card. This one is, I mean, this should be like a 7 centering or something along those lines, at least from what I understand about this. If you look at the auto, this auto is basically almost going off card. Over here, tons of room. I mean, in no world, at least from what I understand, is this a 10. This should be like an 8. But alas, when you have a card with no clear borders and you don't have to show your work as a grader, this can easily just pass for a 10. And yeah, that type of stuff is, it's just tough, man. I've seen BGS even do this from time to time, but this is pretty egregious on a PSA 10. Nonetheless, we'll keep it going. 2003 Ronaldo Mega Cracks PSA 8 goes for 5,300. Down from the last sale, but kind of doing okay. I did look at the particular sales just to get an idea, but yeah, last sale was 6,000 just a week ago, and this one goes for 5,300. So that 6,000 sale was a best offer by someone that's pretty reputable on eBay. So that seemingly went through and was a little bit higher. You're always going to get a little bit higher on best offers than you are on auctions, but not a huge discount, and definitely up from what seemingly was the bottom back here at 4,300. We've had a couple good sales since then. Then we get some 101s here. Make of it what you will. There's 3 of them, so I'm just going to show them all at once. There's a Pele in between, but we do have a Messi that went for 12.6, a Erling Haaland that went for 6.3, and a Cristiano Ronaldo that went for 5.6. I guess the question here being, would you rather have the Haaland and Ronaldo or the Messi? I'd like to think I'm, somewhat in the middle on the Messi Ronaldo thing. At least more so than most people, and the Barca kit just does it for me here. 2020 as well, I'm pretty sure that's still Barca playing days. I don't like the sort of throwbacks, but yeah, I take a Messi Barca 101 over a Erling Haaland Dortmund 101 and a Ronaldo Juve 101. But maybe I'm in the wrong there. Also, all PSA 8/10, which is kind of interesting that just all 3 happen to be that way. But then we have the Pele Titulares just hanging out. This one goes for 5,640, which, pretty good price. I guess if we look at it, back is really, really clean. The front, obviously off-center, sort of messed up a little bit. This is the middle rarity of the 3 that exist. The rarest does not include the auto, but this has an auto over his face. And, yeah, there was a PSA 1 recently that went for like 4,000-ish, maybe a little bit higher. So a 2 at 5,600. Feels like a relative deal, but still a respectable price point. So looking at next week, we'll see what we got. I don't think I've taken a look at all yet, so this should be my first look as well. If we go by highest price, we got a couple Aquarellas, so 2 PSA 4s, one with a Pele auto. This auto, at least to me, looked kind of weird. I did see this one actually when scrolling about for some reason or another. This is like a really big circle. I'm not sure if that's like an earlier career thing. I mean, this also seems like it's in pen, but definitely sort of a more different auto than what we're sort of used to, which is interesting. Beyond that, we have the man himself, Lamine Yamal, kaboom, already at 1,500. We have a Titularis and a 3, pretty high grade there. We have an 8.5 here on this Pele 1970 World Cup sticker. Couple 2017 Chrome colors. A Beckenbauer here from 2018 Eminence. 101 Mbappe, PSA 9 Monday Chromo. Out of 55 here from the 2014 Prism CR7. Another Messi here with, whatever auto that is. I'm sure we'll talk about it next week. You have a purple Vinny, a matchups Messi Ronaldo, PSA 9 of the Mejores Equipos de Europa of Henry. And yeah, I mean, just looking forward. Seems like a pretty good week next week, so hopefully you guys are excited, and I am as well. If you enjoyed this video, do make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. Anything you want to tell me, would love to see it in a comment down below. Things you thought sold high, low, maybe something you bought, would love to hear about it. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. But that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.